Good morning, everybody. I want to share a story from my emotional eaters about one of the major ways that I really truly healed my relationship with food and my relationship with myself so that I don't abandon myself or eat against my will. And I want to tell a story of how I process my emotions going into a party knowing that there was going to be a lot of food there. And I want to offer that so that you can take that with you. And then talk about my webinar. It's a workshop that I'm doing next week. So it was a Sunday morning, and we were headed to a party. And I was very nervous to go to this party because I knew there would be a lot of food there, a lot of alcohol. And it's social, a lot of social happening. I can get anxiety when I go to social events. I actually love people, but I also get anxious being in environments like that. And I knew I was going to this party, and I knew there was going to be a lot of food there. And I was very nervous because maybe not obviously, but I didn't trust myself around food. And I was so scared I was going to lose myself in my goals. And what I say is abandon myself, abandon who I want to be, abandon my goals, because I was going to spiral and not have control over what was happening at that party as far as eating, right? Because there was going to be a lot of good food there. Also, the people that were hosting this party are like my family. And they knew my dad very well. I grew up with them. And so it creates a lot of different emotions in my body to go to this party, feel comfort and safe with them, anxious to go to the party, all the food that was going to be there. Lots of emotions were happening for me. And this has happened in the past over and over and over and over. And I knew most of the time when that was the pattern, I would binge. And so that created an extra fear in me, like you can't go to these parties and you can't keep it together. And so you avoid the parties and all the things. But let me tell you what I did this time in particular in a way that I knew I wouldn't abandon myself. Because especially when we are emotional eaters, when we want to push our emotions down, or if we feel extra safe, we eat. I know I did and can still. Or anxious, right? We're emotional eaters, right? And eating works, right? Putting something in your mouth, it's like instantaneous. It calms us down. It nourishes, it numbs, right? And I'll never forget what a coach said to me is, when you hit a glass that is empty, it vibrates, right? There's a lot of vibration, right? And that's what our feelings are. They're vibrations in our body. And if we're not comfortable with those vibrations, when we stuff ourselves with food, just like when you fill that glass with water, when you hit it, it doesn't vibrate as much. And so when we eat, it numbs the vibration in our body. And when I knew that this was coming over me early on this Sunday morning, hi, whoever's here. When I knew that these feelings were coming over me, I knew that I had to process my feelings. And this is what I did. Okay. And this changed. This is how I show up today. And this changes me going to different places where there's a lot of food, where I used to eat against my will. I used to give in, right? Give in to the urges. And what I did that morning, I felt all these emotions come up over me. This joy of being with these people, the exhilaration of all this food, the fear of losing myself, like all the emotions, I could feel just overly emotional in my body. I went inside my body and I grounded myself. I processed the excitement, the fear. I went inside my body. I put my hand on my chest and I felt through the emotion. And I said to myself, I understand why you have all these feelings, but we can stay grounded. Our thoughts create our feelings, okay? And so I decided to connect with groundedness, that I can feel joy, right? Because if I let my emotions run away with me, I'll eat. I know I will. If I'm guided by my emotions, I will eat. So I decided that I can feel joy for being around these people, and I can still feel grounded. So I pulled my emotions back down where I could control them, and I felt grounded in my body. And I said, you are going to go into this party in this grounded state. You can still feel joy for being with these people. You can still feel safety around these people. You can feel anxious, though when I'm in that grounded state, I don't feel as anxious around people, right? So I want you to think about what thoughts you can create for yourself that feel groundedness. When in your life have you felt stable, grounded in your power? Practice that in your body. And I said to because it's like, for me, it's the 4-year-old. For me, it's that little girl that wasn't allowed to eat, that food was restricted from her, right? It's that 4-year-old that's like, I'm going to go to this party and eat whatever I want. Because when I was a kid, I was able to go to parties, and my parents weren't paying attention, and I was able to eat things that maybe at home I wasn't allowed to eat. That 4-year-old was still very much inside of me. So when I go to these parties, she gets exhilaration. Like I could feel this overly exhilaration for that 4-year-old. It's still inside my body. It's like, you're going to get to eat all these things, right? I had to ground her inside my body. And I said to myself, you can feel all these emotions, and you can still be grounded in your power of the woman that you are. And I go back to times in my life where I was in my power, and I connect to that energy. And I went to that party knowing I wasn't going to abandon myself, knowing that I was going to stay grounded in my body. And when I felt myself slipping, there was a time where I left the party, and then I came back. I will do whatever it needs to be done to not abandon myself, to not eat against my will, to stay connected to my groundedness, to my power inside my body. That's where our feelings are. That's where our emotions are. That's why we eat emotionally, because we let our emotions run away with us, and we don't know how to connect with them, tap into them, feel through them. I went inside my body with my emotions that wanted to run away with me, and I controlled them through my thoughts, through processing my feelings. I go inside my body, feel, where do you feel the exhilaration? Where do you feel the fear? Where do you feel it in your body? They're vibrations. You go inside, and I feel through them. I leave the thought of the fear of losing myself at a party or wherever I'm going to be, or that day where I feel myself wanting to eat that day. I have a real fear of losing control. While you have a ton of evidence in your life that you've lost control eating at wherever you were, right? So your brain's like, you can't do this because you've always lost control, right? I go into my body and feel through that fear. I leave the thought. The thought will continue to create the feeling, but you leave the thought and you go inside your body to process your emotions. And when you do that, they pass. And then you can choose a different thought. Your feelings will pass within 60 seconds. It's like fact, right? But we don't know this, and we're running from our feelings, that vibration in our body. I have learned to go inside my body at any time where I think I've eaten for a shit ton of reasons. One of them is emotion. This is how I've worked through that reason of eating, because I ground myself. I lead my emotions through my body when I know I'm going into a place that feels out of control for me, that I might abandon myself with food or alcohol or whatever my goals are. Or if I wake up in the morning and feel that way, I go inside my body, I feel through the feelings. We are stronger than our feelings. We are more powerful than our feelings. And I work them through my body. And then I choose a feeling that serves me. Love, connection, sitting in my power. And if you don't know how to do this, what I want you to do is practice a thought that creates groundedness in your body. Go inside. Think a thought that you actually believe. You have to believe the thought. Everybody has different thoughts that they believe or don't believe, right? And I do this with my clients because it's very personal, right? But what I want you to do is a thought that creates a love for yourself, a thought that sits you in your power, a thought that creates calm, peace, groundedness, and sit in that thought and create that feeling in your body. And you're going to show up very different in your life. You'll show up very different to those parties that maybe you feel like you would let yourself go, or some type of triggering event, whatever it is that you lose yourself, you abandon yourself in those moments. I want you to stay connected to yourself. And so this is what I do. When I feel my emotions running away with me, I pause, man. I pause. And we have to slow it down, okay? Your mind is very quick, very fast, 60,000 thoughts a day. Your body is a lot slower. You have to slow down to catch up with your body and go inside and feel, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? And then you can process, you can lead your emotions through your body, through your thoughts. This is powerful work, and this is one of the things I do today so that I'm not abandoning my goals, my desires, how I want to feel in my body when I leave that party, when I wake up the next day, right? How many times I've left parties like eating 7,000 calories, 8,000 calories, like shoving so much food into my mouth. And I don't do that today. And because I've done this work, now I don't fear I'm going to do that most of the time. My brain does offer me that sometimes because of all the years I did it. But then I lead. No, I can do this. I've done this. This is how I do it. One of the ways I do it is grounding myself. I felt myself get really pulled by the emotion of love and safety when I was with these people. They're connected to my dad, right? I don't have my dad anymore. It's like childhood friends. All the food that's going to be, like, there was so much, I could feel the emotion. And I put my hand on my chest and I calmed myself and I said, you can feel safety and joy and love and connection and not have to eat over that. And I calmed myself, still feeling those emotions, connected to those emotions, but in a grounded state. And then I could show up very grounded, very purposeful in the decisions I made on how I fed myself, in my power and not from shame, not from, oh, I know I brought my own food, and oh, I know I'm not going to drink, and oh, I know I'm not going to do this. No, I'm like, yeah, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to partake in whatever I can take, right? Grounded, confident, and calm. So I hope that this helps enlighten on one of the ways that I don't lose myself or I don't abandon myself with food. I would love feedback if you listen back, if you're going to listen to the replay, and if this is some type of aha moment. But this is one of the major ways that I've really not abandoned myself no longer at parties. I want to go to parties. I don't want to avoid them. And there were times where I did avoid them. And that's okay too, right? Whatever we have to do to protect ourselves. So this is one of the things that I'm going to go into in my workshop, the Stop Overeating workshop. And it is next Thursday, June 19th. This is one of the shifts that I'm going to discuss in that workshop in detail to help you stop abandoning yourself and really take your power back over food. I know the routine. I know the it's just awful to feel that we don't have power over what we put into our mouth, feeling powerless. And I want to help you take your power back and really see that you had the power all along. You do. You have the power, and I want to show it to you. I want to reveal it to you in all the different ways that I took my power back so that you don't have to go on and on and on for days, months, years, a lifetime, continuing with the power struggle, continuing in the shame and the embarrassment, and or the up and down of the weight, right? I don't want you to do that. I want to fast track you. So if you have questions, let me know, but you can comment or DM Confident, and I will send you that link to register for my for the workshop. It's going to be about 90 minutes, and I'm going to share more of these stories. I'm going to go live a few times sharing more things that I've done, more stories about my journey and my aha moments to help you have your aha moment. Hopefully that creates an aha for you. But that's it. And this goes for anything. When our children create this big emotion in us, we cut ourselves off from our intellectual thoughts, from our true intellectual thoughts when we are in any big emotion. Big emotion does not serve us most of the time. So when we are in a big emotion, anger, rage, excitement, fear, those big emotions, it will cut us off from the decisions we truly want to make, our most grounded self. It's not in our best interest to live from big emotion. So, and I've learned that, and I know that, and so I ground myself when I'm very fearful or when I'm very angry or impatient with my daughter. This is just a life skill that I'm teaching my daughter. And yes, it helps with my relationship with food. How we do one thing is how we do everything. So if we're just big emotional people and we have no control over our emotion, that's showing up in every aspect of our life. And it's not serving us. So, and who teaches us how to process our emotions? Nobody. Right? We push it down with scrolling on Facebook, with eating, with drinking, with whatever type of buffering is happening because we don't like how we feel or we feel something. And it does a disservice to us to avoid our feelings. It really does. So I want to help you process your feelings, feel capable of feeling them, and hopefully this helps you see how to do it, and that you can do it, and just slow it down, right? When you're feeling a big emotion, go inside. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? There's a thought that created it. What thought feels true that created that big emotion, and sometimes they serve us, right? If we're grieving, okay? When I grieve, I allow myself to grieve. I allow myself to cry. That's how our body processes emotions. When we process the sadness and we cry, it moves through us faster instead of pushing it down. When we push down our grief, it's going to come out of us in an explosive way. And I don't want that. I want to be in control of my emotions to the most that I can. Okay? We are emotional beings. We're supposed to feel all the feelings. Okay, so sometimes they serve us, for sure. They're a message. I never not want to feel. But I always want to stay aware of what I'm feeling and why. Because it's information. And I want all that information so I can learn about myself. And this is what I help my clients do. When you learn why you're feeling what you're feeling, because we act based on how we feel. 99% of the people on this planet act based on how we feel. And then you don't know why you're feeling the way you're feeling, coming from a thought, and you don't have any control of your life. Or you think you don't have control over your life, but you have control over your actions, but you're acting based on how you feel. And if you don't like how you feel and you're acting based on that, you're not getting the results you want in your life. This is what I've learned to do. Slow it down. How am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way today? What's the thoughts that are creating it? And if I don't like it, I change it. And it will change your life. Because what I use is the circumstances in our life are neutral. Food is neutral. The party is neutral. Alcohol, it's all neutral until we bring a thought to it. And that thought is what's creating the feeling, and we're acting based on how we feel. That is the interrupter that I'm going to show you in this workshop. And when you learn that, that's going to change everything for you in your whole life, not just around food, right? Our kids are just a circumstance, our job, our bank account, the industry we're in. If you have thoughts about the industry you're in, not good thoughts about the industry you're in, and you're out there selling, It's affecting how much money you're making. Our thoughts create our results 100%. And I want to help you change your thoughts about yourself, about the food in front of you, about your setbacks. I'm going to go live and talk about a setback I had and how I used it as information to go again. Your thoughts about failure or your setbacks are most likely derailing your relationship with food and your goals. I want to help you with that too. All of our thoughts are what are creating our results in our relationship with food and our body and our goals. And I want to help you dissect all of them. And that is intertwined with how we feel and our emotions. So that's it for today. I wish you a happy day. And I am here. You can DM or comment confident. And I will send you the link to register for this workshop. I'm super excited to share all the things. I'm going to continue to do this. It is one of the reasons why I became a coach, because I knew that there was purpose in my pain. And now I'm here to serve the world, to help in all the ways that I've healed through coaching. It's super powerful. So that's it for me. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for everyone. Hi, Matt. I don't know if you're there. Hi. And I wish you all a ton of love. Bye.